In this lecture, we'll be examining the geography and climate and ecosystems of Western and Central Asia, a brief overview to consider the effects that geography has had on the history and culture of the regions we'll be studying in this course. I also like this segment because many Westerners, especially American students, are relatively unfamiliar with the geography of this region, so I'd like to do a brief refresher. The Red Sea, which you can see is surrounded by the modern nations of Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Sudan, Eritrea, and Somalia, is actually an inlet of the Indian Ocean. It has an average depth of about 1,600 feet and a maximum depth of about 1.2 miles. It's approximately twice the size of the state of Utah, to give you a bit of point of comparison. There are relatively high salination levels, or levels of salt, in the water due to the high evaporation rate in this rather arid region. There are some beautiful and important coral reefs in the Red Sea that attract a great deal of tourism. It is the most northern of all tropical bodies of water. And it either gets its name from bacteria that subtly changes the water color, or it gets its name from an earlier tradition of associating colors with direction. Another colorful body of water, at least in terms of its name, is the Black Sea. And at various times in its history, it's been a lake, an enclosed lake. Even today, when outflow into the Mediterranean occasionally stops, in essence, the Black Sea returns to being a lake in terms of hydrology, at least. The Black Sea features at the surface much lower saline levels than most global seas, though lower levels have much higher saline levels, and there's not a lot of mixing between the lower and higher levels of water in the Black Sea. There have been significant pollution problems that arose during the Soviet era that have disrupted life cycles and threatened many species in the Black Sea. The Black Sea is about the size of the state of California, and it empties into the Mediterranean, which you can see to the lower left-hand corner of this map. The narrow straits that connect these two bodies of water have been a source of competition and conflict for thousands of years. To control the straits leading from the Black Sea to the Mediterranean is to control all shipping and trade that goes through those waters. The Persian Gulf, which you can see here, is between the Arabian Peninsula and Central Asia. Major oil and petroleum spillages during recent wars in the region have threatened ecosystems. It's a fairly shallow sea. It is only about 300 feet at its maximum depth and about 650 miles long. It's about the size of the state of Michigan, if you're looking for a point of comparison. And it is as narrow as 30 miles wide. One of the narrowest points is near the Strait of Hormuz, which would be toward your lower right-hand side. You can see a rather triangular protuberance from the Arabian Peninsula that juts upward. That's the Strait of Hormuz there. The Caspian Sea has relatively low salinity levels, and there's some debate as to whether it should be classified as a lake or a sea. It is about the size of the state of Montana, and in the modern world there are a number of oil deposits in the region that have made it kind of the epicenter of significant competition for petroleum reserves. The Aral Sea was once one of the 4 largest lakes in the world. On the left-hand side, you can see the traditional boundaries of the Aral Sea. The sea, however, has been progressively decreasing in size over the past few decades. If you look at the picture on the right, the 1988 photo, which is the satellite photo that is more to the left of the two images, and to the right was 2007. That image was taken. This process of shrinking began in the 1960s after rivers that supply water to the Aral Sea were redirected by Soviet irrigation schemes, especially for cotton growing in Uzbekistan. Salt levels in the remaining portions rose to extremely high levels with these falling water levels, killing most plant and animal life, especially in the southern portion of the Aral Sea. The creation of a few new dams has somewhat alleviated the falling water levels, but it will be decades before this trend is entirely reversed, if ever. At this current time, the nation of Uzbekistan simply doesn't have the resources to create dams, and it also is reluctant to let go of the irrigation networks that have allowed it to produce cotton in a region that was relatively arid before. The northernmost component of the Aral Sea, which would be like the upper quarter of those images, is not in Uzbekistan and has northern rivers that feed it. So it has largely escaped the falling water levels. A couple of mountain ranges to briefly discuss. The Alborz, which you can see almost dead center in this map. It is on the northern edge of the nation, the modern nation of Iran, and rings the southern border of the Caspian Sea. There's excellent skiing there. Some of the highest peaks in West Asia are found in the Alborz. It is a fairly narrow mountain range, though. It's only about 65 miles at its widest. A little further west, you can see the Taurus Mountains in southern Turkey. These divide the Mediterranean coastal region of southern Turkey from the central Anatolian Plateau. The highest peaks in the Taurus approach 12,000 feet, and the Taurus have historically served to isolate much of Anatolia, or what we today would call modern-day Turkey, from the rest of the region. The Hindu Kush to the east and the Zagros Mountains to the southwest help complete this process of encircling the Iranian plateau, keeping it somewhat isolated from surrounding regions. One of the most important peaks in this region that we were going to call Persia for the purposes of this introductory course is Mount Damavand. It's about 18,000 feet in height. It's located about 40 miles northeast of Tehran. It is potentially an active volcano, and it is the highest peak in Iran. It has erupted in the past, and it probably is due to erupt once again. Some historians like to call this mountain the Mount Olympus of Persian mythology because of its importance in Persian religion and culture. So like Mount Olympus was for the Greeks, Mount Damavand was for the Persians, and has been. It's still an important source of pride and interest for modern-day Iranians. In Zoroastrian mythology, the three-headed dragon Azzy-Dahaka was chained in Mount Damavand until the end of the world. So there are those who still continue to practice Zoroastrian faith, but it is considered by many in the region that as a signal of end times, if Mount Damavand should ever blow, that it's one of those moments that people have sort of been anticipating for thousands of years. Here's another image, a little clearer and a little more beautiful towards sunset of Mount Damavand. As you can see, snow-capped and dormant volcano. The Iranian Plateau is in the center of this particular topographic map that we are looking at. As you can see, it's surrounded by a series of mountain ranges. It's actually a series of elevated plains and mountain ranges as opposed to a true plateau. It's about 6 times the size of the state of Texas in terms of comparison. Quite a wide variety of climates in the region. We'll take a look at those maps in a moment. And it encompasses the greater part of modern-day Iran, plus the nations of Afghanistan and parts of modern-day Pakistan. If you were to superimpose the modern nation of Iran, which is largely the Iranian plateau plus a few smaller regions, you can see it would cover most of the American Midwest. Despite beliefs by many Americans and Westerners that the Iranian plateau and modern-day Iran are essentially giant deserts, there's quite a wide range of climates here. And as you can see, dry deserts, hot and cold semi-deserts comprise approximately only half of the territory and very little of the populated territory of modern-day Iran and historical Persia. You can see climates range from sort of Mediterranean climates to some very wet climates toward the west and northwest. Again, there's a wide variety of ecosystems and climates in the region, and I only point this out just to serve as a point of edification for those who believe Iran and Persia have been nothing but desert. This map shows the various ecosystems of the Iranian Plateau, and again you can see significant forest steppe, and steppe regions in the Iranian Plateau. Toward the southeast, of course, there are greater types of desert and more of them, but again a very diverse range of ecosystems in the Iranian Plateau. And this brings to a close our brief look at the geography of Western and Central Asia.